Hey y'all, let's do a fuzzy haul. Meet Pat. Pat's the newest member of our fuzzy family. He's actually been part of our outside fuzzy family for 2 years. There is a little stray colony of cats that I feed in our backyard. Other neighbors also feed them in their yards too, but yeah, he's part of it. He was born in our backyard a couple years ago, and I've spent the past 2 years kind of getting him socialized and getting him used to me. And I just love him. We just kind of bonded out there. And when he was about 6 months old, I had him neutered and ear tipped and put back out there because we were not, ready at the time to bring another cat in because we had 2 cats who had cancer and we just couldn't bring another one in. But I wanted to make sure that he was as safe as he could be out there and not fighting for territory. And because we have other males out there who are not fixed and they're pretty vicious. But anyway, but yeah, he is just the sweetest little baby, and I just love him so much. I have just bonded with him out there. And, every time I'd put food out in the morning and afternoon, he would come running up to me for loves and kisses and everything. So, I've been wanting to bring him in. I knew eventually I would bring him in. I just didn't know when, because he's definitely a little heart and soul cat for me. But week before last, he's been in here for about 10 days now. And week before last, when it started getting so cold, after we had that snow day, and then the temperatures were supposed to drop even more, I had told Mike, I said, if I see him out there and he's shivering, he's coming in. So not this past Saturday, but the previous Saturday, Mike came in from outside and he said, "Hey, Pat's outside." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "I thought you were going to bring him in." I said, "Well, if he looked to be shivering or anything." And he goes, "Well, it's going to get way cold tonight. He will be shivering tonight." And I was like, "Are you saying for me to bring Pat inside?" "Well, I'm saying you said you were going to if it got really cold, if you thought he was cold and he's going to be cold." And I'm like, "So you're telling me to go ahead and bring Pat inside?" He said, "Well, that's what you said you were going to do." I'm like, "Now, let me get this straight. You are saying I can bring Pat inside?" And he said, "Well, you said you would." All right, he wants down, so say bye. And so I went out and picked him up and brought him in. And a couple days later, I took him to the vet and got him combo tested, which was negative. Got a flea treatment and, all the parasites zapped out of, cooties gone. Got his shots, and he's been in here ever since. He spent the first few days in my bathroom, and that just really wasn't working out for me. So I put him in here in my office / whatever this room is. There's a twin bed in here that I sleep in a lot. So I sleep in here with him sometimes because about midnight he starts yowling. Only when I'm in here, and then I have to get up and leave or else be awake all night. So, but yeah, he's much more comfortable in here. I'm more comfortable. I can come visit him in here and be comfortable sitting on the bed or sitting here at my desk or doing whatever. And he's adapting pretty well. I've been letting the cats come in if they're interested in coming in to visit or see what's going on in here, and they're all getting along pretty well. Grim growls at him a little bit every once in a while, but for the most part, he and Grim are twins. They are identical. The only way we can tell them apart is that Pat has an ear tip. Pat is actually Grim's uncle, and he is Greta's brother. So Pat's mother is Molly, and he was one of her first litter. He and his sister. She had 2 kittens in her first litter, and one of them was Pat, and then one was Drusilla. And Drusilla is Grim's mother. She has passed away, but she passed away last year from an injury. But yeah, we have Grim in here. I brought Grim in. And, we had found a home for him. One of the vet techs at our vet clinic wanted him, but, we ended up with him longer because they were trying to make up their mind if they wanted him. Then it was going to be another couple weeks. They decided they wanted him, but they couldn't get him for a couple weeks. By then we were attached, and I had said, okay, you're fine, you can have him. But then I just broke down, and I told Mike, I started crying, and Mike was like, what's wrong? I was like, will you be mad if I ask if we could keep him? And he had gotten attached to him too, so we kept him, and I felt bad for, not letting her have it, going back on that. But apparently it worked out for the best. And then about 6-7 weeks ago, I brought Greta in. I brought her in to get her spayed, and I was going to put her back out. But she was so socialized. I work, even though there's strays in the yard, I do work on getting them socialized. As much as I can, as much as you can socialize a stray cat, which means, because Pat is an anomaly. He's so affectionate, and he's so sweet, and, but most of those others, they'll let me pet them. One of them, Wadsworth, will even let me pick him up. But, yeah, if I try to bring him in, but that's it. I mean, I could not, not like Pat. So, anyway, so what I was saying, I got off track, was Molly had, her first litter was Pat and Drusilla. Her second litter, she had a second litter, and I didn't bring any. There's only one. She had two again, and there's only one left of those out there. Then she had a third litter, which is 3 kittens, Greta, and then her 2 brothers. Brought Greta in, intended to find her a home, had her spayed, had her shots, all that stuff, had her fully vetted, intended to find her a home, and Mike got super attached to her really fast. He was like, can we keep her? Sure, why not? So, since then, but there's another litter of kittens out there right now. There were 3. One has disappeared. It was a little calico kitten. I'm pretty sure someone caught that cat. Everybody wants a calico kitten. The other 2 are solid black. But, we just can't bring any more in. I'm trying to get them socialized so I can get my hands on them to get them fixed. I did catch Molly one time. She will let me pet her, the mother, Pat's mother. So I thought she'd let me pick her up and stuff her in a carrier, but no. I tried to do that so I could take her and get her spayed, and she shredded my arm, and I had to let go of her, release her, she tore me up really bad. I had picked her up and tried to stuff her in a carrier, and she just, And then she disappeared for months. I didn't see her for several months. She only very recently, well, I guess about 3 months ago, she started coming back around, and she's only just now started to let me pet her. But I have to stretch. I mean, she won't let my body get close to her. But if I stretch way, way out there, I can pet her. She has not forgotten that. It was a betrayal, apparently, and she's not forgotten or forgiven. But yeah, I'm working on it. So the others I'm gonna have to trap. I've got to trap, and I'm gonna have to trap the others to get them fixed, which I'm gonna have to start working on soon. But yeah, so Pat, he's been in the house for 10 days now, and he's just been great. I was afraid. I didn't talk about it sooner because I was afraid he would end up going back outside, because when they're older, they don't adapt as well inside. The oldest cat I've ever brought in was our cat Elliot. He was 18 months old, and the first 3 weeks with him in the house were awful. I mean, they were, oh my God, he did not take to it. But now I've learned a little bit more on how to integrate a cat into a home. Back then I didn't really know what I was doing. Now I know what I'm doing. And so I'm gradually. So Pat, my plan is to keep Pat in here for maybe another couple weeks. He has darted out. He's very interested in getting out of the room, and he has darted out into the hallway, but then he freezes. And so, I can get him and bring him back in here. But by letting the others come in as they're interested in it, Stanley stayed in here a whole day with him. I mean, he was in here when I left for work that morning, and he was in here when I got home from work, and did fine. Pat's, just super laid back. He and Greta and Grim all have a very similar personality and temperament. And, I was afraid at first that I might have to put Pat back outside. which I would have hated to do, but I would have done to, you know, kind of keep harmony in here. If it wasn't going to be a good fit, at least he's got his shots and everything. So, but I think he's going to make it. I think he's going to make it in here. So I felt safe on doing a little fuzzy haul. So welcome to the family, Pat. We just, you know, I just love him. I have loved him for 2 years. God, back in the summer, he disappeared for 2 weeks, and I was beside myself. I was worried to death. Sometimes when I would pick him up outside and love on him, he'd smell like dryer sheets. He'd smell fresh, April fresh. And I thought, well, maybe someone else is loving on him too. Maybe there's somebody else taking care of him who loves him. And so when I didn't see him for those 2 weeks, I thought, well, maybe someone took him in. Maybe that person took him in and he's being cared for and loved. And I really hope so, you know, but I was still very worried. I was coming home from work one afternoon, and right before you turn right onto our street, there was a dead black cat in the gutter over here. And I thought it was Pat. I just knew it was Pat because I'd seen him cross that road before. And I came in and just crying, and I'm telling Mike, I think Pat's dead. I can't look. I need you to go look. So we walked back up there, and it was not Pat. Mike was like, no, the ear's not tipped, so it's not Pat. And I was so relieved. And I had told him at that time, the next time I see Pat, he's coming inside. I'm not going through this again. But of course, Pat showed up the very next morning. But I didn't bring him in at the time because, again, we were going through a lot of stuff that just made it a bad time to bring another cat in. So, and this was not the best time to be bringing a cat in, but Mike was like, I thought you were bringing him in. Are you saying I can bring him in? Well, you said you were going to. Well, I guess I will. If you're okay with it, you know, you seem to be, I'm going to bring him in. I mean, you don't have to tell me more than 3 times. So, yeah, I got him in here, and I think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to be a good little addition. He's still a little jumpy, a little nervous with noises, and I was sitting here on the bed with him the other night. He was in my lap, and I was scrolling on my phone, and he just happened to look at the phone and see the movement on the phone, and it scared him. And, you know, so I think it's going to take a little bit longer for him to be in this room than usual, because he has a lot, you know, he's been feral for 2 years, and he's going to have that fight or flight instinct for every little noise, every little thing. He's on constant alert. It's going to take a while for him to know that he can relax, and he doesn't need to be afraid in here, and he doesn't need to be in that constant vigilant mode, you know. So I'm just going to keep him in here for another two, maybe 3 weeks. So hopefully he'll get more accustomed to noises and get more relaxed, and maybe, you know, get some of that out of his system before I let him have the run of the house. So yeah, welcome to the family, Pat. Welcome home. And I'm just very, very happy to have him. And I'll keep y'all posted on how he does. Thanks.